Today we are going to be talking about the movie The Blind Side. Now to get us started, I'd like to say that anybody who has seen the movie, and now for me personally, the movie is not only touching, but it's also inspiring to me. And the fact that it is a true story, and we see how Mrs. Tuohy's acts of kindness towards Michael helped further him and gave him a blessed future. And that challenged me to reach out to people in big or small ways. You never know what somebody's walking through, so always be open to reaching out to them. Um, Here we have the cover photo for the movie The Blind Side, and today I'm going to be talking about three speaker concepts, and those three are speaking life or death, justifiable deception, and destructive fear. So first we see speaking life or death, and we see this through S.J. Tuohy. Throughout the whole movie, we see an awesome relationship between Michael and S.J., but in the beginning, S.J. reaches out to Michael while on the playground as Michael kind of gets turned away from these two little girls on the playground that he's trying to talk to, and S.J. recommends that maybe if he smiles more, people will be more open to him. Then throughout the movie, as Michael moves in with their family, SJ is constantly building him up, and he's also helping Michael further his skills as a football player and training him and getting him conditioned and teaching him the plays and running through them with Michael. That is speaking life into Michael, and it's helping further his future. So thanks to SJ, Michael had a very successful future, and so we see him speaking life into him. For the second one, we have justifiable deception, and we see that through Mrs. Orr. There's a scene in the movie where Mrs. Tuohy asks Michael how he got out of the situations that he was in and how he made it, because she had seen some of the people who really hadn't made it and had some rougher times. And Michael said that when he was younger and things were going bad around the house, his mom would say to him, "Now when I count to three, you open your eyes, the past is gone, the world is a good place, and it's all going to be okay." But what Michael didn't know is that while his mother was telling him this, she was taking drugs. And we see that as justifiable deception because the definition of deception is a technique where a person is not made fully aware of what is going on. And we see that through what Mrs. Orr is telling Michael. Now, she might have thought that it seemed harmless, and Michael had no idea, and so he really didn't know that his mother was doing drugs. All he knew was that he was supposed to be listening to what his mother said, and that it was all going to be okay because she was suddenly happy at her, and so he became happier too. Um, for the third one, we see destructive fear, and we see this in a scene towards the end of the movie where Michael is back in the hood, and he is sitting at an old friend's house waiting for his mom. He not necessarily do I think he wanted to be in this situation, but he did want to see his mother, and he had known these people for his whole life, and so he sort of felt comfortable there, but necessarily didn't want to be there. And through that, we see the fear that Michael has as this man is talking disrespectfully about Michael's new family, and it makes Michael uncomfortable enough where he stands up, and then this man tells him to sit down. And through this, we see types of destruction, and we see types of fear, because destructive means causing great and irreparable harm or damage, and fear means an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous. Now, I think in this moment they both thought that each other was dangerous, but we also see that these men had guns on Michael, and that made Michael even more nervous and to cause more destruction, not only through the words that these men were saying, but through their guns. And so Michael pushed these men down. Luckily, he made it out of that situation, but that is definitely a thing I see in the movie towards destructive fear. To recap about what um, we talked about speaking life or death, which we see in S.J. Tuohy. We talked about justifiable deception, which we see in Mrs. Orr. We talked about destructive fear, which we see in Michael Orr. Thank you.